Thanks, Aisha. I'm going to share my desktop now. You should see my screen coming up. There may be a slight delay. What you'll see come up is what's called a concept map. This is how I've structured my presentation, and what I'll do is send everyone a link to this concept map after the webinar is over so that you can explore everything in it. The concepts, or the shapes on the map, have information attached to them. You'll see that if I hover my mouse over the concept, a little icon appears. I can click on that icon, and different resources are attached to different concepts. In this case, there's a handout on applying to undergraduate summer research opportunities. When you get a link to this concept map, I would encourage you to just explore and find the different links. There are videos, there are lots of PDF handouts, there are web links, and there are some photos attached to these concepts. All right, I'll get started with the basics of what is summer research. Summer research programs are usually 8 to 10 weeks in the summer. They're usually located at a college or university campus, or sometimes a private research lab setting. It's entirely possible that your home institution hosts several summer research programs. And you'll generally work under the guidance of a faculty member on a research project, and you may also be interacting with graduate students. The programs usually consist of groups of about 8 to 12 undergraduate students total working together, and all the programs that we'll talk about today are paid. Most of them offer travel support to get to and from the program, and housing is often provided, sort of dormitory setting type housing. And these programs are in just about every possible discipline and geographic location that you can imagine. They're definitely fun. They typically give you experience in a field setting or a lab setting, sometimes both. They often provide some professional development activities alongside the research. For example, your group may receive funding to attend a small conference and present on the research that you did over the summer. There may be courses or workshops ongoing throughout the summer on things like GRE prep or what is grad school, those types of things. And then finally, as I mentioned, the opportunities are paid. Usually the range is somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 for an 8 to 10 week summer experience. The National Science Foundation, NSF for short, calls their programs REUs. REU stands for Research Experiences for Undergraduates. And there are somewhere around 500 to 600 REUs all over the country in a variety of disciplines. And their stipend is typically around $4,500. They include travel support, and they include housing. And each of these programs has a different application process, application form, and a different deadline. But in general, the deadlines for these programs are February and March. There are some programs with kind of early deadlines. Early would be December and early January. So we're coming right up on the deadlines. I'll do an example of how to search for some of these NSF RE programs on our website in a few minutes. Another place to look for summer research programs is NASA. And now a lot of people sort of hear NASA and they think aerospace engineering and that's it. But NASA has several hundred summer internships each year, and they run the gamut from chemistry, biology, physics, astronomy, computer science, and just about everything in between. And there are even occasionally opportunities in business and finance and other non-STEM disciplines that relate to the NASA agency as a whole. Again, these internships are paid around $4,000 to $6,000 a summer. They occur at one of NASA's research centers across the country. And you work under the guidance of a NASA scientist who acts as your mentor. NASA also does offer spring and fall semester internships, just as an FYI in case that's something that might appeal to you based on your semester schedule. Those are longer opportunities, or 10 to 14 weeks. They're still paid. They tend to be a little bit less competitive in terms of the application process. Still great experiences. NASA is a little bit different from the NSF REUs in that there's a single application website. It's intern.nasa.gov, and you can complete one application, and then attach your application to up to 15 different internships you want to apply to. They have a standard deadline, which is March 1, but their offers are rolling, so earlier is better for the NASA internships if you can. There's a video attached to this NASA concept that you might want to watch on your own time, a NASA intern who went on to become a NASA employee, actually. All right, so just to talk a little bit about, okay, there are all these opportunities, but why should you really apply? And there's several reasons. One is these programs really give you a great academic foundation. They help build your research skills, which makes them a great stepping stone to graduate school. Graduate school is often built around research skills. Also, you tend to work alongside graduate students. So it gives you some insight into what life as a graduate student is like and whether that's something that you want to pursue or not. It gives you valuable faculty connections. You're in a very small group, 8 to 10 students. You get to have a lot of quality interaction with your faculty mentors in these programs. It's a great way to develop some faculty references for some good letters of recommendation. Also, this may be the way a lot of students say summer research program is how they identified the faculty member they wanted to work with when they became a graduate student who would act as their PhD or master's advisor. You get some good hands-on experience in the lab or in the field. The experiences that it's just hard to get during a regular semester, during regular semester courses. You can really get more in depth, get to explore using different instruments, explore different topics. And you get to explore different fields of interest. You don't necessarily, just because you're a major in chemistry, necessarily have to focus on that in your summer research program. This is a chance for you to discover new disciplines, maybe some interdisciplinary research. It may help you figure out what you want to do later on for graduate school or beyond. And it's also a good way to find out, geez, I thought I was going to be interested in this, but after 8 weeks during the summer doing this, you know what? I don't think so. It's good to find that out during a short summer experience rather than finding it out after you've applied for a PhD program in that area. So it's a great way to experiment. And then, of course, you get to travel, you get to make new friends, and you get to be paid while you're doing all of it. Those are some great reasons to apply. Looking into a timeline for applying and how to go about applying, I want to highlight 2 handouts here. One is a general creating a winning application with some good tips. The other is applying to undergraduate summer research opportunities, which I have open here in another window. And I just want to point out that there's a nice little timeline for applying in this handout. Now, it begins in summer and early fall, and I know we're past that now. You're not too late if you've done nothing to prepare yet. But ideally, you would start in the summer and early fall and move through this timeline. I encourage you to check this out as you're preparing to apply. But anyway, now is definitely the time to start if you haven't started. Start by drafting your cover letters, your personal statements, updating and revising your resume, and discussing with your family why you think summer research is important. We often find that discussing the importance of research with your family, it's not an insignificant issue, and we do have a handout attached to this concept, which gives some advice on how to express the need and importance of being away from home for the summer, and gives some tips on how to explain to your parents why research and graduate school are steps that you need and want to fulfill to achieve your career goals. An important step in the process, of course, is to search for programs and figure out which programs you want to apply to find their deadlines and make sure you're organized to apply to the programs you're interested in. In just a minute, I'll give you a demonstration of how to search for programs on our website, pathwaystoScience.org. While you're searching for programs, you definitely want to make a list of application deadlines because they all vary. And you want to make sure you're aware of all the separate application requirements for each program, so things don't jump up on you and surprise you, especially things like getting transcripts in on time and any other support, grades reports and that sort of thing. As you're making your program selection and requesting your letters of recommendation, you also want to be polishing your personal essay and your cover letters. Definitely use your campus resources like your writing centers, your friends, your peers, your mentors, to make sure you have as strong essay as possible. We have, again, another handout attached to this concept called Writing Strong Essays, which gives some advice on how to strengthen your personal narrative and what type of content to include in your essays. And at this time of year, or coming up in December, you've selected some programs you're interested in, you're preparing your materials. This is the time when you can contact those programs that you feel strongly about and let them know that you're interested in applying. You can do it by email or phone. Email is fine. And you don't want to ask them how to apply unless it's very unclear on their website. You just want to indicate that you are applying and that you're interested in the program. And it's just kind of a good first way for you to set yourself apart from all the rest. And then finally, you will be keeping an eye out and making sure that the letters of recommendation that you've requested have come into the programs before the deadline. A lot of people have questions about how to get a good letter of recommendation and where to get them. There's a handout attached to this concept that answers some of your questions. It's a good idea to go to your recommender with some helpful documents like your resume, maybe even a bulleted list of some of your interactions with them, like classes you've taken with them or projects you've worked on with them, to help them sort of remember you and know how to write a good letter. And remember that it's okay to be pleasant but persistent. Faculty are very busy. They get lots of requests for letters of recommendation. They want to fulfill the requests. Sometimes deadlines might slip by them. So it's okay to be pleasant but persistent in your reminders and try to give them as much lead time as possible. A month or two is great. Several weeks at least is ideal. And then over Christmas break is really a great time to be finishing your applications and getting them submitted. In the spring, generally maybe 6 weeks after you've applied, you'll want to be checking your email for offer letters. Offers do come by email, so if you're not an email user, you want to remember to check. And if you're in the position of considering multiple offers, that's great. You can weigh the pros and cons of each and select the program that's best for you. Make sure once you know what's going on, where you're going, and all of that you go back to your recommenders and let them know what happened, what program you decided on. That's a really nice follow-up for those faculty members who took some time to write letters for you. All right, so having gone through that timeline, I wanted to bring up our website here, which, sorry, I thought I had it up already, but I guess I don't, pathwaystoscience.org. And so one thing I wanted to highlight, we have a student forum here. And if you sign up and use the student forum, we will send you a few emails a year just letting you know about programs and program deadlines. For example, you would receive an email around Christmas time saying, hey, don't forget, the deadlines for summer research programs are coming up. And we'll provide you some links to programs that seem like they would be of interest based on your major and your level of study. If you want to do that, that would be great. We also have our Search Over 1,500 Programs, which is probably the most useful tool for you on the website. And I'll just do a demo search. So I'm going to choose Undergraduates as the user group level. And we have all different kinds of disciplines. You can choose many, you could choose few. I'm going to go for ecology and evolution right now. And I'm going to hit search. This brought up 90 different programs for undergraduates in ecology and evolution. And you can just see that there are a bunch of different programs here. You see program name. You see programs that were just posted. Some of these are fellowships, and some of these are summer research programs. To learn more about a program, you can just click on the link. And you'll see a program description. You'll see a program deadline. One note about deadlines, most of these programs are just now announcing their deadlines for this coming year. If you see a program that has a deadline that's from last year, you can probably guess that this year's deadline is going to be similar, but you can always contact the program contact to be sure about that if they don't have it listed on their own website. For each of our program listings, there's a link here to go to the program's specific website and find the details of the application process. Just going to point out a couple more things about on our website. And one is that there's an advanced search, which you can use if you have specific criteria. For example, you can browse by state. You can search by citizenship in terms of eligibility, non-U.S. citizens or U.S. citizens. You can search by application deadline, and also keywords, so just a bunch of different options. If you need to narrow your search down a bit more, the advanced search is a great option. And then one last thing I want to mention is our resource library. There's this toolbox section where there are a bunch of handouts that you might find useful. A bunch of these I've mentioned. They're also attached to that concept map. This is another way to get to them, but writing strong essays, getting good letters of recommendation, applying to summer research. So these are resources that are available to you, and I encourage you to use them. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to pass the baton over to our guest speaker, Yolanda Trevino. She's the Assistant Dean of the Graduate School at Indiana University Bloomington. And Yolanda, I'm going to bring up your PowerPoint.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I was just going to say, I was listening to the presentation that was just given, and I'm thinking there's a lot that's very, very much repeated. And so I thought, well, we can go by the slides, but maybe what I'll do instead of reading what I already have prepared is I can help students to kind of think through about, okay, well, what does that really mean? I mean, let me envision myself and go through the steps. So hopefully that's okay if I go off script a little bit, but still give examples of what you've just mentioned. So I'm a dean here at Indiana University, and I work with undergraduate programs. In fact, tomorrow we're going to have our campus undergraduate research conference. And so many students go to universities or colleges that have a research day or have a research conference that is for your university, your college, maybe even just your academic department or program. And I would say that if you haven't done research yet, you haven't been a part of the experience of having an undergraduate research being a participant, still go and see what it's like from the side of what students found, what their findings were, what their experiences were like, and you'll see that it's exciting. You'll see that it's inspiring and that you can do it yourself. It's never too early. In fact, many first-year students who are freshmen will then say, you know what, for my spring semester of my first year, my freshman year, I'll work with a faculty member or a grad student in a lab. And so don't think, oh, I'll wait until I'm a junior, because believe it or not, your undergraduate time, the semesters go by very, very quickly, and so you want to take advantage of opportunities as soon as they come. So anyway, that's just my little piece of advice. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so we were talking about, just who, why, when, where, and how, and so as Liv was saying, is that what is undergraduate research? It's a time that you are able to think of a question that maybe hasn't been thought out as deeply as, or it didn't include a group of people, or it's new and cutting edge, and you're able to work with other people who think that's a really interesting question, that's a very important question, and it's worthy of attention. And so it's inquiry. It's an investigation that's conducted by undergrads that contributes and adds original and creative knowledge to the discipline. One of the experiences that we have here at Indiana University, many of you might have McNair Scholars Programs, and these are for individuals who are first generation, low income, maybe underrepresented minorities in the U.S. And so people are being encouraged to think about the PhD program, and how to do that. A PhD is a research degree. So undergraduates are encouraged to work with faculty on a project. There was a student here at Indiana who was involved in anthropology. This is one of the social, behavioral, and economic sciences, or if it was archaeology, it could also be some of the physical sciences, depending on the question that was asked. But this individual, he was a sophomore, and he was looking at how arrowheads and flints were being made and how they were made. Well, long story short, National Geographic was doing a study, and they were doing a program on early technology, and that tools that were used to help humans in prior to machines and things like that. Well, the faculty member that the student was working with included the student, and he was an undergrad. National Geographic picked up the research and highlighted him, and he's shown on television. Serendipity, but not really. When you have something interesting, you're part of the conversation. You're part of the scholars, the community of scholars. So it's exciting that you as an undergraduate are encouraged and welcomed for your energy, for your interesting ways of seeing things that maybe others haven't thought of that. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. I think I might have mentioned a little bit about, what is it? It's an opportunity to work closely with the faculty member and a group of other individuals who are looking at a problem. Next slide, please. Let's see. So why participate? Being at the graduate school, being a dean at the graduate school, in a graduate school within the Big Ten, one of the things that we look for, and especially in admissions, are individuals, whether it's for a master's degree or a PhD degree, is to say, do you understand how knowledge is created and how it is, and have you had the opportunity to be part of that? So not only do you benefit educationally, but professionally, you're beginning to create your own identity in that discipline. And personally, you have the opportunity to develop skills of presenting, answering questions, listening to questions that people are asking or thinking that maybe you should look into, and really it's an opportunity to meet other people who are very much interested in the same things that you are, whether it's within your state, within your discipline, or even across the country. And so why participate in that? Because you're going to grow, because it's fun. One of the things recently, I was able to go to Borneo. This is an island that is part of 3 different countries. Part of it is part of Malaysia, part of that island is part of Indonesia, and another part is part of Brunei. Well, there was a faculty member who was interested in aromatics and medicinal plants that were part of, that are grown in lush jungles. And so there were students that came from all over the United States, from the Dakotas, from Arizona, from Indiana, California, and they were all working on different projects. And the students, were still connected, and one of the things that they all said is that it changed their lives. So why participate? Because a lot of people are doing it. It's expected to be part of a competitive application, and there's many opportunities to explore and to participate in different programs. So It's good for you. Eat that spinach. Bad joke, but it is. It's really good for you. Next slide. So who participates in them? Again, these really all undergraduates can participate. Who tends to participate in programs that are focused on undergraduate research opportunities? Those individuals who are being purposeful, those students who are wanting to build their academic foundation, to get hands-on experience beyond maybe a textbook or now a screen on a computer. As was mentioned earlier, individuals who want to explore a little bit more. And I think oftentimes it's the interdisciplinary, the connections of an area that maybe you don't have at your specific university or in your department, but here's an opportunity to expand and work interdisciplinarily and multidisciplinarily through an experience. Again, what was mentioned is that you are able to make connections with faculty. Faculty, from everything that I've ever seen, and when I'm talking about is in the admissions process, they're looking to see if individuals are intellectually curious, if they're willing to test hypotheses, if they're willing to think out loud and work with others. And so the type of individual that participates in these type of experiences are those who are saying, yeah, I can do that as well, and I'm interested. And it's okay if you're not fully confident about that. I myself am a first-generation college student. In other words, my parents did not go to college, and I didn't know that one was supposed to be doing these kinds of things, but with these kinds of programs, and that you were supposed to be connecting with faculty outside of that 50-minute lecture or outside of that 1.5 times a week that you're in the classroom. And so this allows you to connect with faculty and to have them get to know who you are. Next slide. So as was mentioned earlier, and again, this is just a reiteration, so you're paired, you're connected, you're working with a faculty member, and maybe another group of students, so you're not alone. There are postdocs, there are grad students, and other undergraduate students who are working together on a project. You see this a lot in the sciences. In the social sciences, maybe whether it includes political science or sociology or even criminal justice, you may be working more one-on-one with faculty. And, and this could be for a specific period of time in the summer, or depending on the project or the question that you're working with, it might be a little bit longer. It could be a semester, or it could be a full academic year. And so depending on what type of program that you are participating in, they may have other types of perks to them and other components to it. As was mentioned, housing, meals. I think what's really nice is that many times faculty will make sure that their teams are there, their research teams are there whenever their research is presented at conferences. So there's support for travel to conferences, whether it's across the country to maybe a capital, the national meeting of that discipline, or maybe even international conferences as well. What we do here at Indiana University, which many other universities do as well, is that we try to couple not only that faculty mentored research experience with, just the project that you're working on, but to help you to prepare for graduate school, for graduate school admissions. And so there will be many programs that include test preparation to how to prepare for the GRE. They'll have weekly luncheons with faculty, workshops, and symposiums, and again, opportunities to share your findings to date. And so what do they look like? They're interactive, they're hands-on, and as was mentioned, they're pretty fun. Next slide. So where to conduct your research? You can conduct research on your own campus. You don't have to go abroad. You don't have to go to another campus. But if you want to, definitely do that. Some programs, as was mentioned, are funded and hosted by faculty members at different universities. If you're from the South, check out what it's like to live in the Northeast. Be there for the summer. If you're, from the Midwest like myself, try to find an agency or a research site that is totally different, that might be in an area that might be more international. And so what we have here are photos of the individuals when we went to Borneo. These are all people that I know. And I think the amazing thing about NASA is that you have one application. And so you can apply to up to 15 different sites. And so some might be there in your own home state. Others might be across the country. Apply. Why not? There's 15. Make sure it's a very strong application, but this is the time to try something different. Next slide, please. I think the wonderful thing that IBP, that the Pathways to Science search engine does, is that it compiles all these opportunities in so many different ways, depending on the discipline that you're interested, who you are. If you're an undergraduate about to become, if this is your senior year, you might want to see if there's opportunities to do a year of research. There are programs that are called postbacks. There are, if you're maybe a very early undergraduate student, you can see that each year you might want to then try a different geographic location or different types of institutions. I've worked at a women's college, and for women in the sciences, there's opportunities that are available to you that might be a little bit different than if you are at a coeducational institution. So definitely use that search engine to see the possibilities that are out there. And as Liv was mentioning, that there's over 1,500 active programs, and I think the selling point that IBP has is that they're all up to date. Maybe the deadlines because we just got our emails to remind us to update our application deadlines, but these are not dated in terms of you go on there and that link doesn't even work anymore. IBP is really good about that, so definitely check out that engine. Next slide. The how to apply. I think this is where a lot of students say, "Oh, it's it takes a lot of time that I don't have." Really, if you look at what was being asked of you, the application form, it's just tell me about who you are, your demographic information. The academic transcript, all you have to do is order it. It doesn't take too terribly long. But what's really important is that personal statement. Most of the time at the undergraduate level, they're just asking for about a page and a half. We're looking at maybe 3 to 4 or up to 5 paragraphs. And so what excites you? What are you interested in? Make sure that that's really reflective of of who you are at that specific time. The letters from faculty for many of these undergraduate research experiences for these applications, they're wanting to hear what other faculty, how they see your intellectual participation and how you communicate. So that's, I think, the two longest components to it is to get letters from faculty that are specific and strong about you. You don't want a generic faculty letter of recommendation, and you want your personal statement to be reflective of who you are, because there's only one you, and you want to make sure that you let people know who you are. And so all of that can be done in plenty of time. We're still a week before Thanksgiving, and we have most of the application deadlines for REUs. They tend to start happening in mid-January, early February. So you do have time. So it's never too late to start applying. Next slide. Again, when should you participate? It's never too early. Many individuals start as rising sophomores. That means it's your freshman year, right? The summer after your freshman year, your first year, juniors and seniors. So when should you start? When should you participate? Now. Next slide. And yes, this is taken verbatim from that timeline, and I like it because it organizes every time of academic semester into 3 easy steps. Getting organized. It takes a little bit of time to create that spreadsheet, to look on the different websites. But if you look at NASA's One-Stop Shopping Initiative, they're all there already. There's many opportunities, and you can apply up to 15 with one application. So definitely follow this timeline. Next slide, please. And I think this is where I wanted just to close before I felt like, Liv just, I'm going to say everything that she just said, but I think it's always good to hear it more than once. Visiting IBP's Pathways to Science website, they do have wonderful resources that are both downloadable handouts that are I would say not interactive, but where you can see video clips of other people's experiences, and so you definitely want to go to that website.